All right, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. We're just going to walk around the lab and see all the different things that are happening during a typical afternoon in our lab here at UCSB.
Okay, so we are making a new electrical wiring plant for our MEC instrument. Now, the current thermometry wiring, which is how we measure the temperature, can stay. However, we need to add an extra set of cables because we've added the Chase GL7 fridge on the bottom. And eventually, we're also going to be changing the wiring and how the signal from the detector is processed as we integrate our new readout system. So essentially, our plan over here is to have a 44-pin output connector. It's a little bit hard to see, but at the top of the fridge at room temperature. And that 44 pin is going to be soldered to what's called a loom cable, which is just like this. And this is going to weave all the way down where the GL7 sits. And that's going to read out thermometry for the GL7. And then over here on the front panel of the fridge is where a lot of the signal process wiring is. And we're going to tackle that a little bit later. So right here, this is the 44-pin output connector that I was just mentioning. So as you can see, one of these already has a lot of wires soldered to it. This is how we're reading out most of the thermometry for our MEC instrument. So measuring how cold the 50K stage is, how cold 4K stage is, etc. A lot of this existing wiring can stay, but as you can see, we have an empty pin here as well. So we're going to solder one of those loom cables to these pins, run it all the way down the fridge, and that's how we're going to read out the Chase GL7. To do so, we're going to be using these little 25-pin mini D-subs. As you can see, they're very small. I think the loom cable is 42 gauge. Yeah. So we have a 42 gauge loom cable. We're going to be soldering 24 individual little copper wires into each of these pins. So it's going to be a process, but that's how we're going to read out our GL7 and the temperature.
Yeah, what we're learning here is that not everything in the lab is super fun. Sometimes there are some tedious projects. This will be one of them. Very small, very easy to break, and but has to get done or else we can't know what temperature we're at.
Exactly. And we're using the loom cable because it's durable. And loom essentially just means that there's snap-lock threads between each of the different wires, and that helps keep them separated. It's a little bit easier to have them all in one single thread than to have individual little 42 gauge wires running all the way up the bridge. So that's primarily the reason why I'm using a loom as opposed to the individual.
And for those of you, 42 gauge is something like 2/1000th of an inch. So each wire is about the thickness of a human hair. So yes. It's pretty delicate.
Each of those needs to get soldered into one of these little pins because they have to be read out separately. So that's our plan. And then as far as the signal wiring, you're going to tackle that next.
All right. So Nikki's going to be doing this for the next 2 weeks or so, and I will be going on vacation.
Yeah.
All right. Here we have some standoffs that we made to space our array a little bit closer to our windows. Crystal's got them here. She's going to now gold plate them. If you look over here, we have our gold plating set up where we have our three different, reagents. I don't know what they are. Anyway, we're going to dip them in there, and this thing will come out shiny and gold plated. So that's a capability we brought in-house recently, and it's really nice to have instead of having to go outside to a gold plater and that takes weeks to get it back to us. All right, yet another project this afternoon. This board is a new test for some gallium arsenide diplexers we got from Markey Microwave. This is a test board we made, but we got to get it soldered up properly. So I'm going to try to get in here and solder it. All right, so this fridge was destroyed in a water leak. This is actually a Leiden cryogenics dilution refrigerator. It had an accident in the other lab. An ice maker one floor up from us leaked water, a saltwater brine, through 14 inches of concrete. And then it found the 1 square foot in a 900 square foot lab where it could do the most damage. It landed like right here on this and splattered disgusting saltwater calcium grossness all over this fridge. It broke it to the point where we couldn't fix it. We actually had to send it back to the manufacturer for a refit. So this is just back from Europe where it got refit. But we finally got it back from the manufacturer, and for the first time in about 3 years, we're actually going to try to power this thing up. So we built this enormous new stand for it. That's Josh's fault. He's on the ladder. So we're going to try turning on the pulse tube for the first time. This is about 15 kilowatts of power and about 300 PSI. So I'm going to film it in case anything explodes. All right. All right, Simon, who usually edits our videos, today is going to be on camera. His summer project that he's working on is building a new box inside a box to absorb infrared light. He can give you an update now.
Yeah, so basically, we want a box that is light tight. So we're getting IR in our devices that we don't want. So we want a box that will absorb IR. Because apparently just making a thick copper block will not do that. So this is our 3D printed model. We're going to cover this with a IR absorbing compound, probably a silicon carbide. And the only thing that might be an issue is that we want it to be light tight, but not airtight. And because of that, we put a little channel here. Very, very smart. It just reflects around the IR, makes it annoying to get in, but air can get out. Although this will probably not be airtight anyways, even if we didn't put this, but there's no pain in putting it there anyways.
You want to show the magnetic shield?
Yeah. So inside this box will be a magnetic shield. This is made out of mu metal. So it's ideal magnetic permeability to redirect magnetic fields away from the device. That'll be inside. And I can show you the device box. It looks like this. This is one of our device boxes. And this would be screwed into the magnetic shield, which the magnetic shield is then screwed into the bigger box. This is an older design, but that is how it goes.
All right, so we'll make this out of aluminum and test it. And then if that doesn't work, we'll make it out of copper. All right, thanks, Simon.
See ya.
All right, so in order to get quantum limited amplification for reading out our devices, we've added a four-wave mixing superconducting traveling wave parametric amplifier. And what this does is it takes a lot of power that's in a pump tone, 10 gigahertz, that we take into the fridge, travels through here, and then in these diplexers, it gets combined with our signal tone from the M kit that comes up through here. It goes into this magnetic shield to improve the stability of the superconductor. And then we have a superconducting transmission line that's nonlinear, which allows us to mix the pump tone with our signal tone and convert power from the pump tone into more signal, which then comes out through here. We again goes through a set of diplexers to separate out the pump tone from the signal tone and terminate the byproducts of the mixing process. And then we send the MKIT signal through an isolator, which prevents noise from higher temperature stages from being reflected back into the amplifier. Then it comes out, goes through here, intercepts with this superconducting niobium titanium coax, and then comes out to this 2 Kelvin noise temperature HEMT amplifier. It's just a transistor, and then goes out of the fridge to room temperature.